This webinar is being recorded.
Hey guys, hi Lokesh.
Hi, Vishal.
All right, good to see a whole bunch of you who've joined in exactly on time despite the temptation of Australia Open. We'll be starting in a couple of minutes. Just give everybody a chance to sit down. I hope those of you joining from home have a nice glass of water and have a comfortable place to sit for the next, let's say, an hour and a half or so. So we'll start in a couple of minutes, guys. I hope your Sunday is going well. And let me just test out the functionality over here. Just give me a thumbs up if you can hear me okay. Just doing an audio check. Thumbs up. Yes, there we go. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Give us a couple more minutes, guys. We'll be starting very shortly. And while you're waiting, just let me know if you've used Gemini Live before. So this poll questions, I'm just added a poll over here. Just vote if you've used Gemini Live before. No, most people would be on no. That's okay. Oh wow, there's one person, two people. Very good, very good. Don't worry, guys. Just good to know where we are with this. So I'm just glad I'm sharing something that is new to most people. You four cool people can stay cool. Very good. Okay, a good mix of people. Let me just clear up the space. All right, we'll start another 2 minutes. Make yourself comfortable, guys. I mean, I hope you guys aren't sitting on a bed like this, crouching over it. Very bad for your back. I recommend, if possible, connect this, put it on a table, lean back with proper posture. Posture is important, guys. Very important. Save your backs. AI can do a lot of things. It can't fix your back as of February 1st, 2026. How many of you have started timestamping your statements, especially with AI and other things? I hope some of you that I've met in person have started doing that as well, just to be very sure that you don't get quoted out of context, saying, "Oh, AI is never going to do this," and then 2 weeks later it does it, and then you're like, "Huh, I spoke too soon." Well, I'm speaking exactly as I planned with the timestamp. So another minute or so, guys. Thank you so much for joining on time. There's usually a couple of people just very shy to enter the virtual room. I will start in a minute or two. Let's look at that poll question. Okay, there's 7 people who voted. There's yes and 50 who voted no. There's 107 people. So a couple of people haven't voted yet, but I assume that's going to be this common trend. So let's start with that. Is anyone watching Australia Open on the side? Just AI on one side and tennis on the other side? AI tennis multiverse. Yeah, so thank you for the sacrifice for those who are joining in. Those who aren't watching tennis, this will be almost as fun. I can't guarantee an unknown element of who's going to win. at least as of Feb 2026, humanity will win. I don't know how long that'll stay true, but we'll see. All right. Okay. All right, guys, I think we can get started. So thanks for joining in today. Let me just share my screen. And if there's somebody you know who is a friend who paid good money to attend today and they are not on the attendees list, please just poke them once, just to remind them that this is happening. For those who aren't able to join and just seeing on the recording, hi guys. Just a reminder, if you are watching this on recording, you can set it at 1.5 speed so it can go faster than real time. Just that flavor of knowing that you weren't there live is going to be missing, but otherwise, yeah, this should be some good, interesting learning as well. All right. I think we can get started. What do you think, guys? Give me a thumbs up if you want to start. One thumbs up. I will take it as yes. I just need one person to say I want to learn, and I will take that up. Okay, so let me just get started. Just share my screen. Let me know if you can see my screen. Just okay, thumbs up means you wanted me to start, so I'll take the smiley face emoji or the extreme laughter emoji to say you can see my screen. So yeah, somebody click on the tearful, laughing in tears. Yeah, all right, that's a good sign. Okay, so as usual, we'll spend about an hour and a half going through the different use cases, different ways of working together, using deep research for today. And probably the last half hour, 45 minutes, we will have open up for Q&A where you can come online, just raise your hand and I'll put you guys on screen. You guys can speak and ask any questions. The Q&A in the webinar chat is also there as well. So if there's any questions, I'll read them out. If there's any questions I don't get on this session, please put it on WhatsApp. And if anyone in the group, by the way, you might have realized there are a lot of active people who know a lot about AI as well in different aspects. So I'm looking at you guys to answer some of those questions. This is a community. We're all learning. I'm just a few steps ahead of some of you in some aspects like this, but I know a lot of you are very keen learners, keeping track of the latest news. Yeah, I saw that Maltbot post. So there's a lot of interesting things happening. Please keep sharing. Please keep answering questions to each other. Let's help each other out and stay on top of this amazing wave called AI. All right. So today we're going to look at deep research and what I called is lead generation, as well as a couple of other things in Gemini. We're still happily married to the Gemini ecosystem as of Feb 1st, 2026. And we'll see what we can do to extract some more value out of these subscriptions. Now, if you're not part of the WhatsApp group already, and if you're seeing this anytime else, please join the group. It's a very active, humming, warm community of people sharing, asking questions. And yes, your homework is evaluated based on what you share on WhatsApp. So in case you haven't realized, to just see who's done it, I just copy, export the entire chat, ask AI who's done their homework, and it gives me a nice list. So it's going to be a big surprise for you if you haven't done it by week 8. All right, so that's the group. If you missed this one, a link will also be posted up in the chat. Just a quick summary of who's in the room with you guys. These are the total number of registrants as of today. Different companies, founders, CEOs, partners, different professions, and a lot of doctors as well. So thank you for joining us. If you are, while you choose to save lives, you will also choose to join us and learn new things to help us grow and save more lives. So thank you so much for being part of today. Quick intro about me. If you've never seen me join or somebody said, hey, there's some good value AI classes being taught by some guy. That's me. And backstory, I've lived in multiple countries. I also an alumni of IIM Bangalore. I've taken courses or sessions at different prestigious institutes. And I also, when I'm not doing this, run a company called Quantana. We're now 98 people building AI products, designs, and working with some very large companies as well. So if you want to reach out to me specifically on that, I'm more than happy to have a conversation. I will not go through this whole slide, but we do some very good work for a lot of big people. That's like the one-line summary, isn't it? Okay. Now, this might be the fourth time. Wow, has it been 4 times already? I feel like we've been on this journey for quite some time now, but it's just 4 is a small number and is a big number as well. But this, I think, is an analogy that seems to be sticking with a lot of people, and I just want to iterate. When somebody says, hey, I want to learn AI, what does that mean, right? So at the bottom level, that's your engine if you want to build an AI model, or if you want to assemble an AI or use it in some way. So it's kind of equivalent to a prompt engineer. And then whether you want to drive the car, right? So if somebody says, I want to learn car, are they driving the car, building the engine, or using it as a business, right? So as a car driver, that's like I'm using a specific application. So NotebookLM is a great tool that does a lot of research, does a lot of graphics, etc. And then at the top level is your user of the tools, where AI just becomes invisible. It just works, right? So this is a very useful mental model. Whenever you hear some AI technology, ask yourself, where does this sit in, right? Is that like something like at the bottom is probably like DeepSeek, building out a model. At the top is, these voice assistants or voice typing that we use these days to quickly get data in, right? So I hope all of you have at least started using voice typing for half of the requirements that keep coming in, just in terms of typing things out. And that's where AI is really, really wonderful and is a huge productivity. So for today, we'll be kind of sitting at these 2 levels. We'll be looking at how to use prompts within Gemini, as well as some applications of it in terms of Gemini Live and anything else on top of that, right? So this is more of interactive using of Gemini and deep research. Just a quick recap for those of you who are just joining in today. I did see a couple of people register and join literally the last 2 days, but in the last 3 sessions, we looked at using voice to getting your inputs into your computer, and then using tools like NotebookLM to generate graphics and summaries and sort of analyses, etc. We looked at building gems, and virtual customers was a use case. Some of you maybe use it as a virtual QA. I saw a fantastic use case of using it to analyze our RFP responses and sort of identify defects in documentation, etc. And we looked at Gemini versus Copilot, and it's a 2-to-1 to Gemini as of Feb 1st, 2026. That still remains true. So all of these recordings are uploaded on QLabs, the link where I keep posting the previous recordings, so you can always go back and please watch it at faster speed. That's the main benefit of recordings. All right, so for today, we'll get started with a couple of things focusing on Gemini. And the reason I asked about Gemini Live is it's a very, very useful tool in the right context. And to some of you, it might just be a game changer, etc. So what is Gemini Live? So Gemini Live is basically a live Gemini. That's a very creative name, isn't it? Live use of Gemini that can see what you can see and talk back to you. So if you have a phone and you have Gemini app installed, I'll just show this to you. You guys can try it after the session, during the session as well. I can't hear you yet, so it'll talk to you, but just watch what I do. So if you see over here, I've got Gemini chat open, and at the bottom there is an icon right next to the dictate mode. which has these 3 lines with a star on it. So if I just tap that, it'll open up Gemini live. And what I wanted to do is see what I see. So I'll enable the camera for it. And now it can see me. And it's also listening to what I'm saying. But what you can do is kind of treat it as if you were, doing a WhatsApp video call to somebody else and ask it certain things that you would normally ask somebody else. So you can say, hey, what is this? Okay, I think it's lost a lot of context because I spoke too much. So let me just start a new session without saying anything. Hey, what is this and how do I use it?
That's a tin of TGL Co Kashmiri Saffron Bava, which is a traditional Kashmiri green tea. To use it, you'll typically steep the tea leaves in hot water, often with saffron, cardamom, and cinnamon, and sweeten it with honey or sugar if you like. The specific instructions might be on the packaging.
I don't see any specific instructions. Can you walk me through what's the best practice for this?
Sure. A good way to make Kashmiri kahwa is to simmer about 2 cups of water with a pinch of saffron, 1-2 cardamom pods, and a small piece of cinnamon bark for a few minutes. Then add your kahwa tea leaves and steep for about 2 to 3 minutes. Strain, add sugar or honey if desired, and it's ready.
Oh, just realized I was sharing my screen. But if you could see what I was doing here, I'll just repeat that once again. I opened up my app and I tapped on this button, which is just the 3 dots with a little star on it. It'll ask you for permissions the first time you do it. And I also activate the camera. And then I was basically showing what I was seeing and asking it to analyze it. So this is a very, very useful integration in the right context, and especially when you want to demo it or ask certain questions, like you're in the kitchen and you're just saying, hey, what do I do with these ingredients? Or how do I make this look better? So Gemini now has the capability of analyzing video in real time, where you can ask questions and it'll kind of have a conversation with you. So this is one of the coolest use cases that I've seen yet. And in the right context, you'll be surprised at how good it is. This also might be a hint towards the future where you'll have robotic robots, which are connected to a Gemini video and can analyze things in real time and actually do things. So this is the human safe version of it because you're in full control. But try it out. You'll be surprised at what you can kind of come up with. Now, most of the time I end up taking photos and then typing in what I want to search. But if you're in a quick, hey, what do I do here? What's the next? What do I do next? It's almost like having a friend. So some of you who are using even software on your computer and you're not sure what to do, you can use it as your own real-time tech support where you can sort of just show the screen and just be like, hey, this is the issue I'm facing. What do you think? And it can actually talk back to you and give you a pretty good answer. So this is probably very freeing and liberating for a lot of you, and it's part of Gemini. Given that I see 85% of you have not used it before, I'd recommend you at least give it a try. It's still in early stages, so maybe it'll not pick up everything, and sometimes I have seen it maybe after the first question, the answer is great. The second question, it just thinks too much. So I usually just kill it and start a new sort of sequence. But again, this is literally magic from what was possible 5 years ago. And most of us have never even tried it, even though it's free. So please go ahead and try it and share some interesting use cases. I think I'd love to see how people put it to use. And really part of the secret to effective AI is just keeping in mind different use cases. You could, for example, just show the menu of a place you're going to and ask Gemini Live, hey, what's the healthiest thing I can eat on this menu? and it'll analyze the text and tell you, hey, you can eat this. Or you can even show a map to Gemini and say, hey, how do I go from here to here? And it can analyze that and come up with, hopefully, the right answer. Again, no guarantees on some of this. AI is what it is as of today, Feb 1st, but still very interesting. So I definitely recommend you guys try this out and let us know in the group how you find it. Okay, I thought I'd start with something interesting and useful. I'll just wait about 60 seconds for you guys to open up your app if you have it, and just press the button and see where it goes. So quick 60-second breaker to just try it out.
Is it the same as Google Gemini? I don't see Gemini Live.
So it's inside your Gemini app. So if you open up Gemini, it should be.
It's the name is Google Gemini, not
Yes,
Gemini.
yes.
Yeah, is that okay? Is that the same thing?
Yeah, it's the same thing. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I guess we will continue. Again, these are different use cases that Gemini is kind of opening up with the Gemini Live functionality. You can ask questions about anything that you see, like literally show this. And they say, yeah, pick a song. I need a recipe. So whatever you see, it can see if you turn on the camera, and you can ask it questions. And yeah, in fact, you can use it as your own tech support, where you can just show what's happening on the screen and ask it, hey, what do I do here, right? So these are some of these emerging use cases that are combining video, image processing, text analysis, etc. Right? So there's a lot of tech that goes into making all of this happen, and we get to sit kind of at the top and put them to use. So please do put these ones to use. Okay. So now I'll just get into today's main topic, which is deep research. And deep research is one of those use cases which seems like a small thing, but can unlock a lot of things if you use it the right way. And there's one particular person who's, I think, part of this list. I will keep them anonymous as per my NDA, but I did ask them for a quick sort of testimonial / use case of how they've helped in their business, etc. So in their words, just putting together all of this information in a very short time. The key takeaway is it's a few days worth of research in a few minutes. And there's a couple of concepts here which I'll get into. And we actually worked closely together to figure out their very custom master prompt and make it useful for their business. But what I'll show today is how deep research can be put to use, specifically for product research, lead generation, RFP generation, etc., and different versions of it that you can use. So before we get into that, let's look at prompts. And you might have seen the slide before, but effectively every prompt should contain most of these key features. On the left side, you can see the role, the task, the context, the format, and some example. So the role is very important over here because it's almost like you're given a smart person as an assistant, but you need to tell them who they are. So LLMs, etc., they will act by default in certain aspects. But if you say, take on this role, then they will think in that angle and they'll give you a response in that angle, right? So I have one prompt here. The role, you're an experienced management consultant with decades of experience. By the way, if you say, act as an inexperienced management consultant with 0 experience, then it'll give you an output like that. It's trying to pretend to be an idiot or whatever, a beginner. But if you say act like a senior, it'll actually do that. And that's quite amazing about how LLMs work. And then your task. So you need to be very clear on what the task is. Yeah, by the way, smiley face, I've never ever tried in production using a junior assistant, but I have tried act as a child, act as something, and it's quite cute, some of these responses. Yeah. Okay, so the task as well is something that you want to give as much information about, saying that do this and what you want them to do. That combined with the context and format makes it very powerful. So when your context, you want to give as much information that you know as possible to the prompt. So like, let's say the topic is part of what I'm trying to do, but also who's going to read the final report, right? So in combination with the role and context, you can actually do a much better job than saying, just do this kind of research. And the final format might be a report in a specific structure with formatting, etc., as well as a table. So you can also say, give me a table with these kind of headings so that it fits this exact structure. And usually when you're giving tables, there's nothing like an example to make it very, very effective. So I always make sure that if I know I have table in my report, I will give it a nice structure. And the structure can just be, here's the 5 headings of the columns that I'm looking for. All right. So again, keep this in mind. Over time, this will just become second nature, and you'll get very, very good at it. So Gemini Deep Research, so that's Google Gemini's deep research functionality. They're kind of positioning this as their personal research assistant. There is a version within ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity. Pretty much every AI provider has a deep research. We'll look mostly at Gemini today, but you can run exactly the same thing in other frameworks as well. Okay, so just think about some of you have gone to your MBA, some of you have been doing sort of research projects, etc., right? So, sometimes when you're assigned a task as your project, it might be to do some research, right? So I'm kind of taking equivalent of a 2-month or 1-month research project where you go out or you go online or read books, talk to people, do all of this research, right? So this is typically what one person would be doing if they were assigned a task to do some research. Some of you are still doing this in your executive roles where you said, hey, let's look into a new country, let's look at a new product, let's look at a new competition. It's still very time consuming, right? So in today's capabilities, we have now deep research, which can do this kind of research, that strategic insight generation, by analyzing everything that's available online in a public setting and bringing all of that together. Right? So you can analyze trends, competitors, any products, etc. So these are typical research kind of things. And there's 2 use cases which I'm a big fan of, which I'll show today. And this is something that I use beyond just your broad research into new areas. And my mental model, and again, it always helps to have a mental model in your head of how you're using AI. In my mind, when I'm calling a digital research or a deep research agent, I'm looking at a sort of like a young MBA intern. Thanks, Notebook, for generating this graphic. This was literally the first one. I gave nothing about her specifics and just said, give me a deep research human agent, and it gave me this. So, and the overall sort of mental model I have is I can give it a complex task, and it scans hundreds of websites, right? So this is kind of the deep part of deep research. It basically goes through Google, for example, Google and Gemini. Gemini uses Google in the back end. When you give it some task, it first identifies all the websites that could have this information, brings it into the table, and then it starts going through each document. So imagine like in real life, you came with one person's job was just to find sources, and then somebody takes a printout, somebody highlights different aspects of it, puts it all together, then you have like a short list of documents. Then based on that short list of documents, somebody now has to write a report in the table format or whatever executive summary that you wanted, right? So it takes all of this, which would have been several weeks or months worth of effort, and puts it all pretty much within 10, 15 minutes. Sometimes more, sometimes on a good day, it might take all of 60 minutes, but within 10 minutes, you can expect something decent to get started with. Yeah. So this is, again, just my mental model. Now, this research assistant, I always have to think of them as like they have full amnesia every time they come to me, right? So I need to give them a lot of context and explain to them exactly what I want, right? So this is for my own benefit because I can see the instructions and I can reuse that exact instructions, which I call a master prompt, for other contexts as well, right? So don't assume that it's your same MBA person who's come in after like a year of work. They're the same smart person, but they've forgotten everything else. So that's kind of how I currently look at them as a Feb 1st context-Lex prompt. Okay, let me just break down this very, very intense slide in step-by-step. Don't worry, don't be overwhelmed. Let's start at the top left. So the reason this slide exists is just to show you how I think of creating this deep research prompt. The core concept is thinking about this prompt as if you're briefing a new intern. So instead of just saying, hey, search this, you actually want to give a very detailed process of how you would do it, right? So the more clear you are in your approach, and you guys in this audience are senior directors, founders, have been working with teams before, you would give a very clear instruction set saying, hey, I want this is what I would do next, this is what I would do next. Once you have this information, look at it in this way, and then finally format it this way, right? So the more context you give about this, the better it works. And internally what it does is it takes your prompt and then it breaks it up into internal queue of tasks. And so it kind of knows that when you said, okay, I have these 10 things I want you to do, it's going to take the 10 things and then it's going to break it up into some 20 things internally. And then it'll go through them one after the other, one after the other, one after the other, and finally let you know that it's done, right? So this is generally how a deep research internally works. And when you're creating your master prompt, you want to give it as much context as possible. So where, if possible, give something about your business. So it's an intern with no memory. So you're saying, hey, this is what's important for me. This is why I'm looking for it. You give as much detail about the scope and your audience, right? So give as much information as possible. If you do this right, some of these master prompts may go on for many pages just because of how much you wanted to analyze, but there's no harm in sending like maybe 1-2 sentences as well, just to see what it does. Okay. Now, what are some of these use cases that people are generally using deep research for? Some of them are more competitive analysis, just trying to figure out, hey, take some of my internal strategy information that I have and see what my competition is doing based on what's publicly available. You can then upload some documents related to a prospective prospect and say, hey, do some more research about it, and also connect back to some of the information I have to enrich it so that we can do some more due diligence. Simply put, if you want to learn about a new topic, a deep research is something you can just quickly fire in the background. It'll pull everything that's available on it and bring some examples to you as well. Product comparisons, just being able to understand A versus B, etc. Right? So again, super smart intern, MBA researcher, goes to the internet, brings information in, helps you analyze it. So there's a lot of use cases through this, so don't worry about specific ones. I just want to show you a couple of specific ones that I like. And hopefully this should start triggering ideas in your mind in terms of, hey, I get anywhere from 10 to 100 free deep researches per day. Is there something I can just trigger in the background that'll do some research for me so that it'll help me in my day-to-day business, right? So keep that in mind. It's technically, since this course started and you started using Gemini, you probably would have had 10 to 100 deep researches every day that you could have run. So kind of make it a habit of, okay, I want to learn a little bit more. Let me put that to use. Okay, so let me just give you a couple of specific examples that I use. And this is probably the one that some of you will find quite useful as well. I call this the RFP prompt. You can see here on the left side, I've just taken the prompt and literally pasted here. By the way, all of these prompts will be shared on QLabs as well, and I've got the document here, so you can just click on this link and you can get that as well. But let's break this down in terms of a prompt, right? And keep in mind, this is sort of my use case. And when you start thinking of meta prompting, which is basically prompting on prompts, one of the things you will end up doing or starting to think very intuitively about is, how do I take somebody else's prompt and adapt it for me, right? So that's something we'll come back to. But for now, let's look at this. So act as a top growth officer of a tech company, could be any tech company for now. Retrieve PDFs of RFPs and tenders in India and Australia, that's our current market, where the requirement is any of the following: mobile apps, learning systems, web development, AI agents, user experiences. Summarize in a table of the requirement name, the company name, let's rename that to issuing organization, URL of the PDF, when the tender last submission date is, and I also updated to say avoid returning any finished tenders, and provide any government private RFPs across all industries and language. Do not ask any other questions, simply start. Now, the last line doesn't always work because the way Gemini actually has to do it, but what I've been doing is I run this on ChatGPT, on even DeepSeek, on Gemini, etc., and it actually gives me quite a good report. So let me just see if I can find that. Well, we can just zoom in on here for now. So you can see what it's returned to me. It's given me State Bank of India is looking for contact center managed services, AI voice bots, Gen AI. The submission deadline is Feb 25th. The Australian government is looking for some interactive solution. LIC India is looking for an AI-based proposal extraction. That's something we do. Okay. So you can see this way. Now, it might have taken me sort of hours to kind of figure this out, maybe multiple Google searches, or finding or bookmarking all different tender sites, etc., that I can do. But it sort of puts it all together in one space over here. Now, there are tender websites that kind of do this separately as well, but you have to pay for them separately. Secondly, it doesn't structure it all very contextual to what you're looking for. So I've given this as what I'm looking for, but if you're in your different kind of business, you can use this to identify other opportunities in sort of any context. And these are all, the nature of tenders is they're publicly available. People should be looking out for these tenders and filling them up. So this is, again, a great way to identify tenders. Just give me a quick thumbs up if you would find this useful, like either in terms of identifying tenders or opportunities or anything else. Just, a couple of you. Yeah. So if you're running a business or you're a director somewhere and looking for opportunities, this is a great place. Now, this is a prompt. Like I said, I will release this available for you guys, and I'll also show you how to adapt this. There's two different ways I think of meta prompting, which is basically taking any prompt and contextualizing it to you. But this is, again, a fantastic use case. Highly recommend you try it. you'll be surprised at how good the results can be. Okay. By the way, I'm not expecting everyone to run through all of these prompts right now. Kind of just take notes, and I will share this right after the session as well. Okay. Let's go to the next one. Okay, this one is a little bit more detailed, and you can see there's more text that I've given over here. Now, what am I doing here? So let's zoom in again and just check this out. Act as a senior growth director and lead generation specialist with 20 years experience in life science SaaS. Your expertise is in identifying high intent buyers for an AI-driven regulatory compliance tools. So without getting into exact details over here, I've basically created a prompt that can identify specific people in different companies. These are all real companies. There will be references somewhere else as well that I can reach out to. And based on signals that it has identified, it's going to give me this list. Now, right now in Gemini, it's not giving me the URL link. It's just saying over here, but I think I can prompt it to finally get that. So let's look at some of the things that are happening in this prompt just to help you understand. And you should start thinking of this model as well when you're building your own deep research prompts and putting them to use. So I've got a role. So you can see that the different kind of personality that I want them to take over here, it is a senior growth director. Then I've got the context, that we're developing an agent. So I've very clearly what our business is about or what the product is about. Then I've got an objective. So now the AI deep research needs to identify and generate a list of high value prospects. Then I've given it search parameters, just very specifics, right? Again, it's like I'm talking to a smart intern in the room, and I'm giving them very specific things that I want them to look at. I've even given some target personas, etc. So on this basis, it'll try and find people who are the relevant fit. And for each prospect, identify, this is the example that I'm looking for, name, position, URL, etc. And finally, the output, which is the name, position, LinkedIn URL, company fit analysis, etc. Right? So this, again, I ran, and I'm getting a list of people. It's actually figured out, based on the context I gave it, the kind of people that I would reach out to. I can keep rerunning this, saying also skip some of these. I can say, hey, go find me another 20, go find another 50, etc. And because it's deep research, the internal algorithm is designed to connect it to some website that it found. So it can be a LinkedIn URL, it can be the company website, etc. So usually the accuracy of this analysis is a lot higher. By nature, deep research is designed to ground it on public websites. Now, those public websites, if they're out of date or literally wrong information, there's nothing that the deep researcher can do. And so that's where you might need, again, a second look in some cases. But again, if you're using this to identify leads, even if 10 out of 15 are good, that's something that's very valuable, etc. Just give me a quick thumbs up if you found this useful and can think of how you might use a version of this to identify leads, either as buyers or as vendors or suppliers, etc. Right? So one key difference that I want you to take away from here is this one. I'm looking at PDFs and opportunities and tenders, and here I'm asking for people, right? So you would normally not think of asking for people directly, but actually it turns out you can. And it's not just a very random list of contacts in different companies, but it's very specific to different roles, etc. And there are specialized software for this as well, like I think Apollo, Clay, etc. They're very specific to lead generation, but this itself is one, it's available for free, and two, you can start running multiple versions of these and keep adding to your list, etc. Right? So this is, in my mind, one of the great unlocks that we get as of today. Okay, so these are kind of the two main things that that we use as a business to kind of identify opportunities that we're going after. and identify people that we can connect. So if you're a generic user, you would use sort of tenders and prompts, etc. If you have a product that you want to sell to executives, etc., again, this is one way of doing it. But there's different versions you can keep adapting to, and this is going to be one of the homeworks that we're going to see. Hopefully some interesting use cases that people are going to share, right? So the power of the community that we have here is people sharing different ideas. Once you have this, you're aware of this sort of thing, hopefully you can adapt it to your own use case, share it with others. Somebody else will share what they were using it for, some version of this, and that's how we learn. Okay. Okay, so I mentioned meta prompting. Meta prompting is basically prompting your prompt. And some people do this intuitively. Some people, now that I'm telling you, you'll start thinking in this lens. There's two kinds of meta prompts that you should be aware of. The first is prompt enhancement, which is basically saying, enhance this prompt to work better on deep research. So oftentimes, Gemini now knows what works better on deep research compared to what you would know as a deep research, right? So you can, step one, just simply ask your question using voice typing and saying, hey, find me this. And you can actually say, enhance this prompt that I've given so it works better. So then it'll actually generate the full master list. So in fact, this extended version is an enhanced prompt based on a much smaller prompt that I gave. And I just literally just said, enhance this prompt. And it has managed to take the role, context, example, output, and it's built it itself. Like the kind of input that I gave is much smaller. I gave probably 1/5 of what you're seeing over here. But because I did this meta prompting step, it gives a much better prompt, which then runs much better on deep research and gives me even more update information. Of course, as I've used the meta prompt over here, it's created some text that I haven't seen. So it's always good to review your prompt once again and just confirm that, yes, am I looking at head of pharmacovigilance? Yes, am I looking for? Yes. So that all looks good, so I can go ahead and send it. So always, keep an eye on what it generates before it asks. Don't be too enthusiastic just copy pasting. Always just validate before you prompt. So this is the first kind of enhancement. You definitely should be using this very often as possible. And by the way, just to show you what that looked like, just managed to find this. Improve this prompt so it works better in deep research. And then I voice typed this. Literally, I just pressed, spoke for 30 seconds, act as a senior goat. So I did give it that. I said, we're building this use case. I didn't give the roles, so it actually created those roles for me. And then present in the report format of name, position, URL, etc. Right? So this is the optimized prompt that it has given. This optimized prompt, including the table, because it knows what like what I showed in the first slide about how to create a prompt, it knows what a good prompt looks like. So it's able to say the role, context, objective, example, etc. Right? So voice type, add this one line, get a prompt, put this prompt in, and you'll get a much better output. Now, the second way you can meta prompt, and this is something you guys will all be doing as part of your homework, is taking an existing prompt, which might look something like this, and saying, hey, update this prompt for my context as XYZ with the objective of ABC who need MNO, right? So you can actually take this entire thing as an example and then say, update this prompt. So you would type this out for your context. So some of you are like, update this prompt for my context as a director of a hospital with the objective of finding vendors who can build this solution and focusing only on the India market. And then you would paste this prompt in, and then it'll give you a prompt that is exactly tailored to what you're looking for, right? So again, if you think about it, it's a prompt. You're giving your objective, you're giving your context, you're giving an example, and then the output of that is a prompt, which again has the best possible context of your role, your task, your objective, your format, and your example, right? So you're prompting to create a prompt, and then you run the prompt. So these are currently the two mental models that I have. When I see somebody else with a prompt, I don't go and manually edit it. I say, here's the context, and please update it. And some of you, I hope, have already started thinking of the mental model of, why don't I just create a gem which will contextualize every prompt I give it, so I don't have to keep retyping my context. So every time I paste something into the gem, it'll update it per my context, then I can paste it out, right? So hopefully some of you are starting to appreciate the layered thinking of AI tools. And even within Gemini, most of us might have started with just using Gemini as question and answer. But if you kind of layer everything you know with voice typing and gems and then meta prompting, you'll be like a superhuman in terms of your productivity, right? So that's the key takeaway from this. You're layering the thought process of how to use AI tools. I think that to me is the most valuable thing that you can take away. Okay, so I'll share both of these prompts, and hopefully I gave you guys an idea of how to think about this as gems, and put these to use so that you can extract the most value. So yeah, in terms of what master prompts and deep research prompts look like, again, thanks NotebookLM for making this in the last 1 hour. The way master prompts, if you kind of look at the examples I've shown you, they're pretty much a linear kind of, find this for me and give it back to me, etc. But you can actually create even more detailed prompts that have multiple steps within them, right? So for example, you're trying to launch a product. You can actually tell the prompt or tell the LLM, first, analyze the market in terms of the people who might use the product. Second, analyze the competition in that space. Third, using the data found for the demand and then the competition, analyze and calculate what the expected addressable market is for you, and then at the end, build a scenario analysis that can project how much money I can make in the next 5 to 10 years, right? So I'll repeat that again, but it's worth kind of understanding this. Our previous prompts are pretty much one, find me this and show me this. But you can actually build multiple steps into a single prompt where, say, paragraph 1 is about analyzing A, which might be the population. Paragraph 2 might be analyzing the competition. Paragraph 3 might be stitching them together to give some sort of analysis. In paragraph 4 will start doing some forecasting based on the entire research above, right? So in this way, you can actually build very, very complex master prompts where you can understand pretty much any product, any demographic, what the future might look like. So yeah, no big deal. We're just predicting the future, right? But this is actually might be a research project that you would give like an MBA intern and say, hey, based on everything you know, tell me what we might be looking like from a business perspective in the next 5 to 10 years. So this is one example of how a multi-layered, multi-step research command would look like. And I've worked with some of you to kind of set this up. This is very bespoke on a one-on-one basis, but there's definitely use cases if you are building a new product and you want to see what the future looks like for this. First, analyze the population, then analyze competition, stitch that together, and then see what the analysis would look like. So this is just one example of another way of thinking about prompts. Try and use it to predict the future in the most logical way possible, and see what the results are. Okay. There's one hidden thing within Gemini, and there are other versions of it within ChatGPT as well. called scheduled actions. And as you can guess from the exact word, it basically schedules a specific task for some time in the future. There's two examples that we're running in my scheduled actions that I can share. One is a daily strategic analyst. Wow, I really screwed that pronunciation there. Daily strategic analyst who runs at 8 a.m. and sends me a very, very useful report. And I will share that prompt with you and we'll go through that together and see how that's set up. And one that was a one-time action to summarize the biggest changes and the impact from the union budget. So this is, probably step one of proactive AI, which I'm seeing as a trend in 2026, and something else I'm working on the side to see how we can make proactive AI more of a thing. And some of you have heard this Moltbot, OpenClaw, etc., which I will answer in the Q&A about my thoughts on that. But effectively, this is what I'm looking at as kind of the future of AI, where instead of you asking for certain things and then waiting for an answer, you kind of just say, hey, let me know about this when something happens, right? So every day, this can give you a very lovely newsletter based on what you're looking at. And on certain events, it knows to initiate a prompt or a search and then give you the result at that time. So let's look at one example of a scheduled action. So this is a daily founder prompt. So if you are a founder or director, whatever use case, you can see here. Act as a daily strategic analyst focused on these things. So I'm interested in digital businesses, emerging products, etc. Act like a young founder who's interested in different things. So these are some of the technical things that I'm used to. Sources include Hacker News, Product Hunt, etc. So various tech newsletters. And I'm saying don't just copy headlines, explain why it matters and how to use it, right? I want some actionable insights. And include links and focus on what's bad, right? This is often what you would not see in other places, and format with different sections. So you can see this output over here. It's done a fairly good job. Let me see if I can pull up today's version. So every morning at 8 o'clock, I get a daily brief of different tech that's coming out. Let me see if I can find that. There you go. This is the full screen version of it. So you can see this is today's. There's some announcement from OpenAI. There's something about pilots. There's this particular tool that's saying build prototypes. Emerging patterns. We're seeing the death of global cloud. Local first compliant AI. I'm not sure if you saw today's budget news yet, but there's a big incentive for data center and cloud companies to set up shop in India. So, this is like literally the action of that as an early signal. Stripe is allowing machine-to-machine payments. So again, this is some different news. Things that I can think about, find a boring sector and build something to it. And you can see here that every day this is going to be running at 8 a.m. and going this way. And you can see it's run before 28th. So it's been running on a daily basis. So every morning it comes up and it does this. So how does this work? It's literally just this one prompt. Act as a daily analyst and do this at 8 a.m. So one thing I found interesting, again, with my designer hat on, is that there's no way to initiate a scheduled action from the actions manager. There's no add action at the moment. You have to prompt it to tell it to remember to send you something every day, right? But this is quite valuable if you want to get something on a daily basis as a scheduled action, etc., where there will be things that you can say, generate a exercise routine every day, generate a recipe that I can follow using these types of foods every day. In this case, it's actually going to the internet and finding some things for me. So it's able to connect to the web search and give me some useful information. This, at the moment, as of Feb 1st, I've not seen, I think, a way for connecting deep research to run on a daily basis, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point they will enable that. Just keep in mind, deep research is an expensive thing for them, and so they kind of go, kind of make it ever so slightly more difficult to use it freely. But this is quite a handy prompt. And you can see in the other example that I had, I actually said, hey, what are the price changes and benefits to the common man from the India Union budget? And I prompted this yesterday, and it didn't have the numbers for me. So it said, tell me at 2 o'clock what the value or what the budget looks like. And so it did a one-time scheduled search at 2 o'clock today, where it ran, and then it gave me the output of that, right? So this is, again, a very different mental model of how we think about LLMs and using ChatGPT or Gemini, is not just waiting for you to ask it, but scheduling things that you will find useful in the future, sometimes even as reminders to do this, or some sort of research or some sort of prompt that you want to run on a regular basis, right? So just think of it this way. And again, the mental model to some of you should be, okay, I've got a smart intern, MBA intern that I've just hired, and I just want them to quickly read the news and summarize it for me on a daily basis, or sometime next week, please run this search and let me know about it, because I'm going to forget. So please do that on my behalf. Right. Okay. So see if you can try this out. Again, this may not be that useful to everybody, but at least to a couple of people. And I find this newsletter to be quite handy as well. So some of you have asked, is there a newsletter that I can use to get the latest in AI and tech and that sort of thing? Yeah, freely available. Just run the prompt yourself. Yes, as you can see, I'm not really selling anything. This knowledge is freely shared. And I believe definitely through all of what I'm showing you that self-sufficiency is the bigger thing that you can take away from all of this. When I say self-sufficiency with AI, you guys should be looking at this as a mental model of, okay, I've got all these skills, right? Effectively a team. I just need to know how to prompt and think in that way, right? So hopefully in the last few weeks, some of these things have unlocked in your head. Oh, I can actually do this. And to me, that's the more powerful thing. And the most powerful thing is sharing this. So please freely share what you've been exploring and discovering, etc. Because just being aware of how to use this is a major unlock, right? So please do that. Okay, I think, I just showed this as well. And as I mentioned, creating a schedule prompt. You can, by the way, also just create a prompt, like a schedule prompt by just going through a conversation and just saying at the end, send this to me every morning. So then it'll know to run the prompt every morning. This doesn't work for deep research as of moment, but it'll work, I think, for regular prompts, etc. Okay, so that's, I think, the crux of today's session. And like I said, this will be focused on deep research, etc. So now, yes, homework. Homework is basically voice prompting a research topic, picking something related to your competition, your either your market or lead generation, whatever it is. It can be a combination of them. So do some market research and then do some lead generation based on that. Meta prompt to refine that further. So first you prompt something, then you refine it or enhance it, and then start a deep research and let it run. It should hopefully take not longer than 10 minutes to 30 minutes. Sometimes it can take up to an hour, depending on what you're searching for and how complex your research is. And as usual, copy that into like NotebookLM, generate an infographic, and share that in the group. So that should be fairly straightforward. I'm kind of keen to see what you guys can come up with from a deep research perspective. Okay, so with that, I have pretty much covered what I had planned for today. Like I said, I will be sharing all of the examples of the prompts in the slides. They'll be up on QLabs as well, so you guys can check it out. So with that, short and sweet. Okay, there are a couple of questions that I'll take, but we're now open to questions round. So if anybody has any questions, we will be putting them up on screen. For those of you who want to get to the Australian tennis match, but I'm not cutting this short just because of.
Hi Vishal, this is Krishna here.
Hi, Krishna.
Can you just recap? Because I tried Schedule Action Manager. First of all, it is not available, that menu, in the free version, but I do have a pro version in a different laptop. So I tried that, but can you just show on the screen once a small example live how to do it?
Sure. That's a great question. Let me just see if I can get that going for you. Okay, let's go to Gemini. Find 10 ideas to make me think creatively as a founder. Send this report. Do this every day at 8 a.m. So for some of you, we had a meetup to discuss creative thinking, and this is what we did. As you can see here, I did prompt, which is just a one-line thing. It's given me some 10 ideas, and it's also given me this blurb saying, like, activate this. This extra symbol comes in over here.
This is excellent. By the way, can we also do a prompt? Because I get hundreds of email. I have suppose 10 projects across Pan India, and all project stakeholder, they love to keep me copy. Okay. But I need to, every morning, 8 a.m., I need to summarize last day, yesterday, tell me 10 project, a quick snippet kind of thing, from my emails.
From your emails. Okay. So there is.
By the way, I use Google Suites, which is Google Mail. So for them, it is integrated, right?
Yes. And within Gmail itself, there is summarize last.
We can't see your screen if you're sharing.
So within emails, you actually have integrated straight into Gmail as well. So you actually, there's two ways of doing this, but you can just go to Gmail and click on Ask Gemini and say whatever you want. So summarize last 48 hours of emails, and it'll do that for you. It'll just pick up some of the emails that you have and give that.
Got it.
So this,
Thank you.
this is the one way, very quick.
Same question for Outlook. Is it possible to do it from within Outlook?
This is the G Suite Copilot. I think Copilot has a similar version of that. I'll just have to confirm that and tell you if that's a thing. But I believe they would. Pretty much summarization is like the #1 use case for LLM, so I wouldn't be surprised if there is one. Okay, I'm not sure which account I'll check and get back, but just see if in your Outlook you have the option for chatting with Copilot. If that's there, then all you need to do is prompt something like this. Summarize the last 48 hours or whatever it is. Give me a summary of the last 10 minutes,
Okay.
meetings, etc. Does that answer your question?
Got it. Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
Hello.
Good evening, sir. Vishal this side.
Yes.
Yes, sir. So I want to know, basically, I want to build a language translator within enabling the voice call only on the live chat. Is it possible when I'm talking to someone in other language and using that app, we automatically transfer the voice in your preferred language?
Yes, that is possible. You'll need to do some custom coding, use some of the voice speech-to-text models as Google has, that will be a custom developer solution. So it's doable.
AI-based coding is possible, no, without no code or existing platform, using the existing platforms?
I'd say this kind of technology is very, very cutting edge. So only in the last few months, most of the low-code platform is not really optimized for this level of technical sort of detail. You would pretty much need to learn coding at that point if you want to stitch together something. But you can use like Google's AI Studio to build a working prototype. And you have to be quite specific and say, hey, use this particular plugin or module from Google's real-time AI translation API. Yeah, but almost some of these, like their own, like Google is working on this themselves, right? Because they know that fundamentally it's a huge unlock. Like for example, this is a news. So so as of December 12th, 2025, Google Translate is now doing a beta experience for live speech to speech. So I think that's pretty much what you're looking for, right? So
Yes.
this is, a company like Google who is, building the tools we are using. They also are trying to do this themselves so that, the Google Meet functionality and Translate functionality will get much better. So can we build something better than this? It's almost very, very unlikely, but there may be some use cases specific to certain industries that might be useful, that you can add like one level above and build something.
Because earlier Chinese apps are coming who is used to transform the gender-based voice calling, like whatever you are calling, a voice is coming in the female version or male version. Earlier, 2-3 years ago, Chinese apps are there. That's why I'm asking.
Yeah, so speech to speech in the same language is fairly mature, or at least as long as it's English, you can change different voices, etc. But if you think about it, the middle layer is translation with context. So that requires more compute power, etc. But again, I think there are new countries, Germany, India is coming soon, and there are different models. So can you build something using Google's own models? Yes. Can you build a custom voice translation module from scratch? In theory, you can. In practice, it's very expensive and requires a lot of data. Like literally a huge amount of data is needed just to build the foundational model. Yeah. If you have any more questions, we can take it separately as well.
Hey, Vishal. I had a question. Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Ritika. I had a question about scheduled alerts. So I've tried doing news alerts, but the quality of news items that come back are not exactly high quality, and it ends up missing like some of the key news items. So could you share any ways to optimize and make this high quality, like whatever you have used in the past to make the news alerts more targeted for you?
So great question. We're often impressed with the first demo of, oh, it works. And then you realize, oh, it's missing out a lot of things. So the kind of prompts, there's two ways I typically look at news-based scheduled actions. One is within the Gemini or ChatGPT, etc. We have to be really specific about the sources and the kind of news we're looking for so that it knows to look for those and surface those. So again, this is where your news prompt will be a lot more specific, saying go to these 5 websites or these other websites related to this, and go through the headlines and prioritize certain things that may be like, say, M&A deals in these geographies or tech that is in these domains, etc. And so literally, you're giving as much context as possible. Now, even if you've done all of that, at an LLM level, it's doing like a very best guess. It's almost like it's trying to pick up small pieces using very thick gloves, right? It's just catching everything, just dumping stuff. A more mature model would be to build a workflow. So using other tools like N8N to build a workflow where you can say, ingest all of the headlines, and every headline you might analyze separately, and then figure out whether it makes sense or not. So yeah, it pretty much comes down to one, enhancing your prompts in such a way that you get whatever is the best possible output. But even then, I know that it'll come to about 80-90% at best. But if you want 95, 100%, then you're pretty much writing a very custom workflow and analyzing headline by headline level.
Yeah, Vishal.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Vishal,
Vishal.
thank you very much. I mastered the iMovie that day.
Okay, great.
Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Okay, now today my question is, I would like to know some idea on doing deep research and meta prompt for the research that I'm engaged in. The use of social media by SMEs globally for branding and promotion, deployment success and comparison to items or similar promotions done by large companies with huge, media budgets. And what kind of a research period, say 2018, 2025, if I want to look at, how do you go about creating a meta prompts or what requirements I give?
Yeah, that's a good question. I'll give you my approach, and you can see how you can adapt to that. So first, you've given sort of a thesis of what you're looking for, who it's for, etc. Right? So instead of just saying create a prompt for this and just do the research, I would break it down into what are the different pieces of information that you need. So you internally would know that first I want to analyze current state, different tech, different countries, different population, etc. Right? So I would break down this research into the tasks that you would do. So even without AI, you kind of have a logical plan of action, right? So part of the meta prompt would be to actually say here's my topic, please propose structure and give me a 12-week plan of the research that I need to do. So again, don't say that do the AI research, but give me a plan first. Then I would take that plan, I would sort of tweak it and just confirm that I'm happy with that plan. And each of those steps, then I would put it again to meta prompt saying that enhance this particular topic for deep research, so it can then go through and find the links and find and create reports. So you might get, say, 12 or 20 different deep researches for each of the topics that you had, right? And so I have this mental model of I want to fill my table first before I do any thinking. So I would just fill my table with, population, different technologies, emerging trends, mental crises, new legislation like Australia, and I think these other countries have banned social media for under 16s. US bans of TikTok, what does that mean, right? And then the technical aspects of it. Are there any, I think now there's illegal restrictions. There are other things that are happening in terms of how people are using social media. So first, get all this information in, run multiple deep researches, because I think you have a very detailed one. Once you have put all of that in, upload that into NotebookLM, and let's sort of use that as a secondary level of analyzing. And now your skill set as a researcher is asking the right questions, right? So you think beyond the AI just giving you facts, and then actually saying what is a hypothesis you have in your head that you are trying to validate, and then framing all of your questions in that way. So put everything on your table, put it on NotebookLM, and then for each question that you have in your mind, ask it based on the research, but then again, structure it based in a way that makes sense for you. So it might be like looking at the context of India as a territory and different age groups, or you're looking at a global level in the past, or you're looking in the future for recommendations of what can be done. So once you've used NotebookLM, and in fact research, and there's actually deep research within NotebookLM, which is very good at it, but I would always break it down to as many micro steps as possible before conducting it.
So conduct individual researches and then ask for what next you want.
Yes. And the skill set, sir, your skill set is asking the hard questions, right? Yeah, that's the value of us humans as of Feb 1st, 2026. You can ask AI to also suggest, act as a researcher and come up with intelligent questions and then use those to search. But you need to curate those questions, right? Ultimately, it will make up a whole bunch of things.
We should know what we are seeking, yeah.
Yes.
Thank you.
Cool.
Hi, Vishal. I'm Mahantesh. Currently, I'm using VS Code with GitHub Pro and prompting to develop some web apps.
Okay.
So, two things. I mean, I just wanted to know, is this the right method? And second thing is, I mean, the bill that comes is little on higher side. Is there an alternate options, or this is the best option?
So there are a lot of things when it comes to software development at the moment. In fact, that's probably out of scope for this type of audience and session. In fact, let me just, maybe I'll take a poll. If there's enough of an audience, I might have separate courses specifically on software development. But just to give you a preview right now, where I kind of have a mental model of, if the app is simple, then you can vibe code using Google AI Studio and Lovable and these other web browser-based coding platforms. If the app is simple, right? You don't need like a very complex, deep backend. A simple database at best is what you're looking for. And Lovable right now is the #1 kind of tool for that. But if you're looking at a very custom solution for that, maybe needing, say, Python scripts or some service that has to keep running in the background, then we use an IDE, so your integrated developer environment. So VS Code is one, but we also use like Windsurf, Cursor, and I would say Google Anti-Gravity is currently one of my favorites. That changes on week. Anti-Gravity has a very generous free tier at the moment, so I would recommend you give it a try. And that requires technical expertise, because if you're using an IDE, the main difference for everyone's context is a web AI software developing AI system. You typically have a chat window and then the output on the right side. But an IDE would have the chat window and code on the other side. So if you're comfortable with code, you can use IDE. If you just want quick outputs, you use a software AI editing tool like Lovable. So just to give you an example, the entire QLabs is built on Lovable at the moment. So again, it's a simple web page. You can log in, you can see different options and videos, etc. But some of the agents that we're building, like a meeting preparation agent that we have at the moment, so that's built entirely off Lovable. It's using Google AI Studio, etc. And just as another, yeah, so this is what's possible using using Lovable. But if you want to build something custom like this, again, so this is a custom application that's running. So this connects to my Gmail. There's some other AI service that is actually going through and doing some internal updates, etc. So this agent is a custom solution. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. And partially, maybe we can take it offline also. One more add-on question. Do you suggest any certifications that we can take up?
Certifications in?
I'm doing the Python scripting plus developing web apps with VS Code. So in more of a technical domain.
Yeah, I think there's. I'll find some specific thing on software development. I do that as well. I'm not sure if who is the best at the moment. I don't know. I think Growth School, their own sessions in there, etc. I think there might be some IITs also doing this, but a lot of these are quite cutting edge. So this is my current favorite sort of IDE at the moment. They have a very generous free tier. But there are some best practices in software development, such as being very articulate in the context that you're giving, being very clear with what your expectation is, generating a to-do list before you do anything, and then sort of letting the AI run in the background while you're kind of reviewing the final output. Just as an example, let me see if this is running. I needed a tool that I can use to quickly clear up my emails from Gmail. This was a problem statement as of yesterday. And it was very tedious opening each email, adding a filter, etc. So I opened up Anti-Gravity and let me say open recent Gmail cleanser. And I said, okay, can we quickly go through my emails? And instead of showing like one email at a time, just quickly show like different emails. So there are some 236 emails I received from Maruti dealers. So I simply press left. And when I press left, it automatically blocks those emails from ever coming in the future. So, and it will also delete 230 emails. All comms from SBI, please delete. Royal Enfield, please delete. So this is a tool I was like, I need to make some space urgently. And so I needed to build this out, and using anti-gravity, you can see the history. You can see the prompts as well. So, yeah, here is a PRD, and I've got the entire requirements that I just literally wiped into this. It started working it probably about 20 minutes or 30 minutes it took, and then I got this solution. So I've like deleted some 5 gigabytes of my emails just looking at this, and it's just like press left to delete, press right to save. So it's deleting these emails. So again, some technical expertise is needed definitely to kind of use these tools. Your alternative is to use other tools like even Google AI Studio, which is from Google, which allows you to build apps. But here you can just see like the final output rather than needing to worry about the code, right? So here I can actually see all of the code, whereas in here if I want I can see it, but the main hero is the final output of the website. Sorry, I was for a while, but I hope that answers your question.
Yes, yes.
Cool. Anyone else? Yeah, this is the other site that we use, Lovable. It's quite a useful tool. I think Lovable, Cognizant. So Cognizant has signed up with Lovable 6 months back, and they are using it quite internally. But as you can see, the keyword is prototype. So these are not designed for scale. They may or may not have security bugs. They're very hard to maintain in the future because you can add code and it just creates a lot of junk code as well. But it's good enough to prototype something. So just keep that in mind. If you want something that will last long, then you would want to not use Lovable. But if you want to prototype something quickly, then use Lovable.
Okay.
Okay. Cool. Anyone else have questions?
As I go through the past lessons, I'll come back later.
Yeah. Okay, sir. I think I just opened somebody else up. Okay, I just added 2 people on stage. So if you've just seen yourself, if you're speaking, you can drop off, guys. Yeah. Hello.
Vishal, can you hear me?
Hey, Jen.
Hey, I was thinking about a product, specifically using the Gemini Live kind of a product, basically for visually challenged or impaired folks. So if they carry their handset in such a way that anybody comes in front of them or anything comes in front of them, at least it will give them a little bit of a rundown history, like what's going on around them. Has anybody thought about this idea? How do we, I haven't done any search on that yet, but this would be also used for the safety and security purposes as well, right? Suppose there are big complexes and security guards can possibly use this to elevate some of these unwanted visitors and stuff like that.
Yeah. So what you're talking about is the field of video analytics or video analysis, etc. Just wanted to share something that pre-AI, there was an app, or there is an app called Be My Eyes, which is basically an app you can install and volunteer to be somebody else's eyes. So they will open up the camera and you can read out what is, what's in front of them. And I think they've got literally millions of. In fact, they have more volunteers, looks like, than the blind. So I think they have a marketing problem in getting into people's hands. But looks like I just see, I'm opening this up to years, but Be My AI beta. So I think they're also trying to integrate the similar thing where AI can directly tell you. And I guess Gemini does effectively the same thing. So I think there are people who are working on this, but I'm glad you brought up that use case. Yeah, AI needs language options. AI assistants only understand English. So people are working on it, but It's
Right.
still, I think, an emerging field. I do know of another person working on a project for security camera analytics. So whenever there is, something suspicious happening in the video that may require an alert that's not directly describable, then how do we alert the right people in the right time? So there are some other frameworks. I think, like, if you want to go technical, there is a framework called YOLO. So YOLO is specifically engineered for video analytics and object detection. You can I think try and check it out, but yeah, it's able to efficiently figure out what is happening inside a image in video in real time. YOLO, yeah, object detection.
Thank you. This is helpful.
So yeah, so in real time it can say, okay, there is a car, there is a cycle, etc. And yeah, some version of this. We've used a similar version for a parking detection, empty parking slot detection kind of project, where a camera is just fixed on top and it just counts the number of open slots and number of cars. Yes, this is a framework that you can use.
Good. Yeah. Thank you.
Yep. If you are done with your question,
Hello,
you guys
Vishal.
can drop. I'll just keep adding people on. Yeah. Yes. Who's speaking?
Hello, Vishal. Can I speak?
Yeah. Yes. Ram, is that you?
Yes. Actually, I'm using the Chat GPT and Gemini. Whenever I ask any prompt, it gives Chat GPT gives something and Gemini gives something. I will give you example. Suppose I'm asking which master's program with the specialization and university and countries across the world is the best for this profile, experience profile. So ChatGPT gives something and Gemini gives something. So which one should be realized that this is the authentic one?
Okay. So the way I understood that is you're asking the same prompt on Gemini, etc., and ChatGPT, and you're getting maybe different results and different structures or different types of responses. In fact, let me just try running.
Sometimes the similar results we are getting, and most of the time ChatGPT is giving something different result, and Gemini is giving different. I have given this is as a one example, and whatever prompt we ask, we see this kind of things.
Yeah.
So which one is the best to use?
Yeah. So there's two ways that would account for the differences. We'll first look at that, then we'll look at maybe which is better. Short answer, both are good. But two reasons why this would differentiate is, one is based on what it researches at that time in terms of the information it has access to. So which means that, say, ChatGPT is running a search and it uses like, for example, a version of Bing research, which might pull the top 10 websites for searching, identifying universities, etc. So based on whatever is the top 10 that its research agent or search has provided, it will try and pull that. Gemini uses Google. So whatever is in Google's top 10, then it will return that, right? So this is like one information source difference depending on what it's searching. Then the second level is the way LLMs work themselves. They're probability models, which means that even if you run the exact same prompt 10 times, you will not get the same answer, even if the backend data is the same. Somehow it will re-rank some of them depending on how that particular moment it answered it. It's almost like a human, right? Like, I can ask you the same question. If you're hungry, you will give one answer. If you're sleepy, you will give one answer. If you're, been looking at only numbers the whole day, you will give one answer, right? So that's one way I look at it. Now, coming to which one is more accurate, at this moment, both of them are accurate in different ways. And the way you would derive what is accurate for you is give more context. So you would say, like, for example, I said best for my profiles. I literally copy pasted it. This one said it knew a little bit about me. So it said AI strategy, teaching, AI product builder. So it's giving me some of these courses, Carnegie Mellon, other places, etc. Right? Whereas this one is giving me UC Berkeley, Harvard, UPenn. Like you see some overlaps, right? I see ETH Zurich. Yeah, these are some of the overlaps over here. Now, these, I would say, I would probably give it more context, saying that I want to be studying in this country, I want to be doing this, use the latest rankings based only on 2025 rankings or 2026 rankings, don't use any rankings from 2020, etc. Right? The right answer is both of them are right in different ways. My mental model is I've given one activity to person A in my company, and I given the same activity to person B, and they both put their interpretation given. It's thankfully as of Feb 1st, 2026, it is our leaders' instinct to figure out what is better given the context. I hope that addressed your question if it didn't directly answer it, but did that make sense?
Yes. Really, it makes sense, and thank you much. But can you suggest me if I want to use either one, which one should I use, Gemini or ChatGPT? Can you recommend?
Right now, I'm leaning more on Gemini. So since the last month and a half, I think since Gemini, the latest 2.5 model came out, I'm finding it quite good. Now the ChatGPT 5.2 is also very good, but I'm leaning on Gemini as of now. So
Gemini 2.5 is free version, or this is
yes.
paid version?
So they both have fairly generous free tiers, but it's available free. And in fact, the pro version also, there's a very good offer from Jio. So anyone with a Jio SIM, or you can borrow a Jio SIM and get.
I'm using Pro. I'm already using Pro.
I would continue using Gemini. I don't really hesitate right now. In fact, my usage of ChatGPT has died down significantly since Gemini has come out. And I did a one-time migration of copying like all of my data in. I just said, dump everything you know about me. And then I copied it into Gemini and said, learn everything I know about me over here. So you can see there. Yeah, it's giving me this, and then I pasted this in here saying that use the below and all the below facts about me, and so it'll over-engineer demos. I'm design dangerous. I don't know if that's a compliment or an insult, but I'll take it as a compliment, as I usually do. Okay, cool. So I hope that answered your question. If anyone else has
Yes, sir. Thank you. And one more question. You have just recently shown here like emails. I have the Gmail. Lot of mails daily I'm getting from the wrong emails like SBI or other. So you have shown like if I create something, link something, and all those, if I type like SBI mail, all these mails will come, and I can block them or something. How can this? Can you retell the steps? How can link with this Gemini with my mail?
So there's a couple of things over here that are happening. Just I'll address it. One is there is a version of Gemini inside a paid email. So this is again Gemini in Workspace, where you can say find all emails right? I do this. Now I just noticed now that I think in the free or this version of it I don't have it. So I'm not sure why, but it's not here. But what I have done separately is just literally yesterday, I created this custom tool. So again, I have very good experience in building software myself. So I created a tool that can search my emails for multiple emails and just quickly select left and right of emails I want to save. The rest it will delete. So this is a custom tool. This doesn't exist outside my laptop at the moment. But if people are interested, I can make it as a service if you want to use it. Yeah. So over here, you can see it's just giving me emails from SBI. Okay, so it's pulled up one email from 20 based on what I find. There is no really smart way at the moment other than the customer. So yeah, does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Hi, Vishal.
Hi.
Hi, Vishal. Anshul here.
Yes.
Just wanted to have your opinion and then subsequent recommendation on two areas. One is opinion on the base 44, which typically is been leveraging a lot of. Like yesterday, I gave a BRD and within 10 minutes, I got an app done. If you want, I can show that to the larger audience in terms of how the BRD was constructed and how app came out ready to be published on Play Store as well as App Store. So, what's your opinion about it? And second, what do you recommend as a tool in terms of? I mean, recommend. I'm not saying best. Recommend tool which is good at aggregating, say, videos and pictures on content, which can consolidate and like if, for example, I want to build a reel basis certain pics, what tool would you recommend is good to have and has features to do it, maybe at a price or maybe at free of cost? So two questions.
Yeah. So your first question was on using base 44 versus other things or general opinion on it. Yeah. So I've not personally used base 44, but I've used Bolt New. This was and still is quite a big player in the market in terms of building software and building mobile apps. Again, all of these guys, including my sort of web app favorite of Lovable, they all use effectively some model of AI that's popular. So they almost certainly are all using Claude. Like that is currently the best model for building software. So what these guys do is they sit on top of that and basically bundle the whole.
Hey, Vishal, sorry to interrupt actually. Vishnu Rajendra, can you please go on mute because we are causing a lot of disturbance here. Anybody who is probably not speaking can go on mute.
Yeah. So all of these tools are effectively app builders which quickly build prototypes and even, they're saying fully functional apps, which as a normal user, that's usually good enough for single page or single applications that are not really complex in the backend. Like if you want to build an app with multiple flows or custom integrations with, like your GPS or your health systems, etc., or even a level of security where it actually matters, like SSO integrations and that sort of thing. But all of these tools are right now fairly good at that level. In my mind, they're very good prototyping tools. But if you want to make sure that it sort of addresses security concerns and scale concerns, which means that if you want something that can last for more than 1,000 users, 10,000 users, etc., as of Feb 1st, 2026, I don't see them as totally serious. That being said, the best practice is to start by using these and then export the code and then use Cursor, anti-gravity, etc., to reinforce the security and improve the scalability of the software. But if you're already building PRDs, then it sounds like you're sort of mature enough to build a spec for a solution and take it live.
So just to pause you there, I had in my BRD the security considerations, which base 44 gave me back that you can now create user profiling and then subsequent the relevant security inputs I have given in my prompt. So I mean they had it. I can't test it now for 1,000 users to see a kind of or do a penetration testing to see where can be leaked? I mean, even the custom-based native apps you build on Java and the other platforms also have security leakages. But in here, the inherent security lapse, I believe, is the AI version, which may, if gets exposed, may have loopholes. That's my thought.
Yes, yes. So the risk with this is the security aspect and scale aspect. This is where first time non-technical folks don't like get into trouble because of this. But like I said, for a prototyping and initial kind of first version of a app or a website, this is a great tool. I would definitely recommend doing an independent evaluation of the code, even using another AI to understand if there are any weaknesses. But even all of the weaknesses of security and scale also, you have to basically ask the right question. So the skill set of developers is moving from just saying, hey, build an app, but rather, okay, follow this layered framework of data separation, privacy separation, APIs, microservices, etc., to build something that's scalable. So the skill set is moving from just, okay, build this screen, to scaling and security as two different things that you need to be aware of. So otherwise you'll not even know how to ask the question. So the AI models can say, okay, I've analyzed the code and I found 3 defects or 20 defects. I fixed it, but can you evaluate those? Maybe not. Maybe not by yourself, but if you can think through a framework where somebody else does the evaluation or even another AI model does the evaluation, then you will be more secure. Maybe we'll detail this in an entirely different discussion, but for now, go ahead with your base 44 application. See how far you can get. Just keep in mind, it's always good at this point to bring in somebody who's technical and do their own independent evaluation. It's
Okay,
like
can I pause you? Can I pause you for a second to put a perspective into it? So, where you say that there is a security, might be a security loophole. So, can I create a prompt taking out certain standards of security, say ISO 27001 or something, create basic framework, put inputs, do a kind of, through the prompts, do a penetration testing
yes,
on the app to actually check, yeah, it has security loopholes, and then create a prompt to fix those within
Yes.
these.
Exactly, you're actually exactly right. You knew how to ask the right question of use the ISO framework, right? So most people don't even get to that. Like security, done. Like I prompted be secure, it became secure. But even at ISO level, what does that mean? At HIPAA level, what does that mean? At basic, SQL injection protection and JavaScript errors and other, type issues, etc. Asking those questions becomes the skill set. And if you can ask the questions, then pretty much you are securing it by, your own understanding of how security works. And that is really good enough to kind of make it as secure as it can be.
Got it. Thanks. And now my second question, like, which tool you recommend for, say, creation of reels using the AI, having static images as a database to convert them into some kind of a video?
So these days we're mostly using Canva, and Canva's AI of creating videos using different pieces. That it's a paid tool, but it's pretty mature enough that you can stitch together either custom videos or it'll create videos just based on this as well. I think we were using InVideo as another video making tools that can stitch together existing stock photos or your own video, etc. So both of the pretty much anything, once you're getting into video, you have to pay for it because compiling videos and generating videos requires a lot of compute. But if you are in the business of making videos, then InVideo and Canva's AI is fairly decent. Now, while we do have AI video generators and that sort of thing, like we have our own digital marketing team, and they actually spend considerable effort right now in manually tweaking like the final graphics and the videos, etc., generated. In fact, if you need to customize anything within a video that's purely AI generated, it's infuriating at the moment because it doesn't quite get what you're asking for. But it's good enough for creating, social media posts and other kind of things. So for example, create an Instagram post, it's going to generate something with some ideas that you can then use to pull together. So
Provided
Canva,
we don't create controversy for some third person.
yes, well, that's not on AI, that's on you. That's you as a human are responsible for that. Yeah.
Hey Vishal,
Got it.
Bhaskar
Thanks.
here. Hi. Yeah, Vishal, I have a few questions. One is for deep research, you had mentioned Perplexity as the best platform. So if, like, for example, right now, I'm trying to help somebody to do research on the whole nutrition market, nutrition and dietitians market, right? So to figure out, what is the total market potential? What is the total, what is the total your target market value and so on and so forth. Now for this, just Gemini would do, or should I do something like Perplexity?
So Perplexity had an early advantage in focusing on research as a functionality. I think that window has become very narrow by Google's own deep research, etc.
Okay.
So in fact, I would these days probably the only time I go to Perplexity is to open up their Discover app just to see the news, because I like the user interface. I haven't been using Perplexity as much these days. They have like a deep research, which practically speaking works the same. I found them to be less comprehensive than Gemini's deep research quite lately. They also have another feature of creating sort of a project with detailed tables. But to be frank, I'm not using them as much as I'm using Gemini's deep research. So that gap of deep research has been closed quite quickly. Yeah.
So in Gemini deep research, is it available in the standard version, or does one have to get the pro version?
I believe it's available. Somebody can confirm as well, but I think it's restricted to the number of users. So typically the Gemini tiers pricing differences. Yeah, so typically these different plans have different levels of so deep research is there, but you will get more of it within enhanced access to deep research. So which means you will get more, that's all, more AI credits, etc.
What is AI credit?
So if you want to create videos, you are limited by the number of times you can create videos. So in the free tier, you get 100 users, which might be good for maybe 10 videos or something like that. Like you will hit a limit fairly quickly, but good enough to use. I mean, it's free, don't let it lapse. For the paid tier, you get effectively twice as much credits for using and storage, etc.
I see. Okay. And the last one is in the mail management for, let's say, Gmail or Hotmail and all that. As of now, you're saying that there is, like, especially the functionality to block mails based on the sender. Because nowadays, if you just say unsubscribe, that doesn't work. Like, people continue to keep sending mails even if you click unsubscribe several times, right? So is there any feature to actually, do some kind of, I mean, there is a block feature. Okay. That I'll have to configure within this thing. But otherwise, you're saying that the only way is through coding. There is no standard functionality to.
Yeah, there isn't a standard functionality. No, it's again.
Okay, so this is something which we need to do individually as of now. Okay.
So yeah, you have to individually go through. So that this tool that I had built is like literally this is last evening. How do I just quickly press left? It will block it.
Okay.
Right,
okay.
Left will block it. Left will block it. So for me, this has been quite handy. It saved, like, deleted some. Yeah. In fact, I'm doing the work right now. If some reason I can offer this as well. It's currently running on my laptop, and there is some security configuration that if I need to make this live, I have to get Google's approval, because this accesses 100% of your inbox. So it's like you have to trust it fully, which means this has to again go through security audits from Google to confirm that yes, it can be open for everybody. But as a single user, this is like in 15 minutes I could clear around 4 gigabytes. So that was quite useful for me.
Oh, great. Thanks.
Yeah, cool.
Hi, Vishnu. This is Janani.
Hello. Hi, Janani.
Hi. So I wanted to ask a question because I'm a product designer and we're actually making an app related to mental health. And
Okay.
we need to train that app because we're adding an AI feature where people can talk about their mental health with that app. So how do we go about training the AI feature of the app specific to mental health related information?
Okay. I'm interested to know what your interpretation of the word training is before I answer.
Okay, so here, since the AI chatbot is going to have you detailed conversation about how you're feeling and what you're going through, and also give you suggestion as to how to resolve that particular problem. For example, you're procrastinating for quite a long time and you want to know how you can deal with that problem. So then it needs to know a lot of detail specific to that particular thing,
Okay.
right?
Yeah. So when we use the word train, often from a marketing perspective, that's a very loosely used term. It pretty much comes down to how you structure the prompt and the framework of handling responses. And so it becomes like effectively a two-part solution that you might need to think about, and not to solve the whole thing at the moment, but how you give the personality of a mental health assistant, etc. So your master prompt that you used to run, in fact, ideally if you've created a custom gem, right? So you're giving the context of who you are, what's happening, what to do in case of this thing. So you almost give a very detailed list of FAQs that is applicable to anybody, right? So this is like the step one. Now, step two is the specifics about the individual. So individual context. Now here again, if you have built a model or built a sort of chat assistant that you can send the entire context, so it might be a 2-page kind of document saying here is this, etc. Then you can just add a summary of that particular user behavior, likes, dislikes, past history, etc. But what happens is every time you prompt them, then they will, like, you have to send a 2-3 page document to the AI model so that it gives the response. And sometimes you can't escape that. The next best approach is to say that, hey, whenever the user types something, I will connect that to what we call a RAG model, which is retrieval augmented generation, which basically says you will store everything about, say, what they like in one aspect, what they say dislike in one aspect. And this is not the best 100% match example, but you kind of store all of these in different places, let's say family members. And when the prompt is asked, like, I feel angry at my parents, this is then converted into, okay, parents is a keyword. So when I contact the AI, I will basically send whatever information I have on here, along with my overall master prompt over here. And these two combine, I will send out as a prompt so that the AI can then respond to it. So instead of sending everything, I'm only sending like 2 bits of information. And this is, again, when I say training, effectively this custom gem, master prompt, this personality that you derive is like the true secret sauce of this. We've built, for example, voice agents where the entire prompt is like 2-3 pages worth of information, which then, if necessary, can connect also to a backend which will retrieve that information in real time. But the overall initial personality is saved right at the beginning. So were you there in the previous session about custom?
Yeah, I was.
So pretty much that will be your starting point. And then you figure out, okay, do I need a RAG model because I will need to bring a lot of information in and real-time information? And the RAG model that Gemini kind of makes it easy for us is you can just add a file. So you don't have to kind of do that sectioning and what we call chunking of information. Gemini does that for you. So whatever question you ask, first it will check with all of this. Then it will also check the files for, okay, is there any matching information that is relevant? Again, puts it all on a table and then compresses or analyzes that and gives you a response.
No, makes sense.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions or?
Last question, the Google Gemini Pro, you other than Geo, so you have to basically get a Geo subscription to get that 18-month offer. Otherwise, it is a paid version as of now.
Yeah, it's a paid version. Gemini. Yeah, correct. So in India, at least Geo, everyone is very generous in India. I think whenever any company gives like a free subscription, just figure out a way and get it. It'll never happen again in the future. This is the era of try and get as many users in India as possible. After this, it'll become paid to some extent, but I'm sure the way we are trending at the moment is, let's say Gemini 3 is there now. Next year when Gemini 4 comes out, they will make Gemini 3 free practically, because you will feel like, oh, I want to pay for 4, but okay, I'm getting 3 now, so let me continue. So something like that will happen. But yeah, at least this year, make sure that you're using all of the free tiers of everyone. So I think somebody asked about Perplexity, there is a Perplexity AI Airtel deal. So if you sign up with Airtel SIM, you can get Perplexity for free. And I think ChatGPT free India tier. ChatGPT Go is also available, which again is not as good as Gemini is free, but it is something. So you can at least put it to use. Yeah. Okay.
So ChatGPT Go is the free version, basically.
Yeah, free in India. Yeah, it's free for. So as a user, I'm almost entirely using Gemini. I know my team uses ChatGPT as well, because there's a lot of context they've kind of saved into that. I kind of position ChatGPT's chat in the workflows at about 90% of what Gemini has. It's marginally different, but I'm liking Gemini more and more because of all the image generation, Gemini Live, Notebook LM integration, all of that. So ChatGPT hasn't launched any new features as Gemini has. So
got it. Okay. So Gemini is a good starting point for new users, basically.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
Hi, this is Bhaskar here. Can you hear me?
Yes, Bhaskar, go ahead.
We are into manufacturing sheet metal components and castings, and we want to develop an internal ERP system to flow inside our company to use it. And I want to connect this to our Tally for the financials. So is it something we can do it, or do you have any suggestion for that?
Yes. Do you have a tech team that can do this? But yeah, effectively the answer is yes, you can build something. I do know from experience, Tally is slightly tricky to integrate with. Tally does not like, I think they have Tally Prime, which most companies don't have in real time. But you can do like a batch import. This is what I remember from last year when we were discussing a similar kind of thing, was you need to generate a file and then you import that into Tally. So it's a bit of manual effort, but it does a fairly decent job. Now, the rest of the application, I mean, it sounds like most ERP systems, you have some inventory, you have some, different phases of your process of building things out. Pretty much it is tracking numbers and updating. That is much easier to do in today's era of generating code. What I've seen as where risk areas of this sort of thing is your coder doesn't have a full context of what happens as a process, and your process person doesn't fully understand how the tech and the building side of thing goes around. That's why I was asking, do you have a tech team which would ideally know much of these processes and can build something out? For something like this, I wouldn't recommend using, say, Lovable to build things on. I would use your anti-gravity, etc., and really start from a base project of, okay, here is the data architecture of everything. Here is how we want to store this information, almost like think like a normal technical developer of data model, API specifications, handoffs to different systems, and finally build that as a project. You can do it a lot faster than you would have definitely in today's day and era. I wouldn't go buy a Oracle system or some SAP system, because you can build basically a lean version of it for yourself. So short answer, yes, it's very doable. Long answer, you should still probably get somebody technical to be on charge of it and make it happen.
Okay, because most of the things that's available in the market is pretty expensive, and for a small company like us, I think the data is very limited. We don't use enough more data. So I was thinking to connect with my Google Sheets and maybe interlink between the sheets which different inventory levels. Is that something you recommend, or do you? It's like a very lean version of it.
If you're already using Google Sheets, I would continue using that to some extent. We worked with others where they had everything in their Airtable, but that kind of architecture is too loose to kind of build a full application around it. There is a Google framework called AppScript. Again, that requires you to learn a little bit of coding as well. It does look like this, but it integrates natively to Google Sheets, whereas other tools don't directly do that. Depends on your level of comfort with working with code. I know some non-coders who built very, very complex systems using AppScript, just copy pasting from ChatGPT back and forth until it worked. And that's good enough for a small team, etc. Something that I would say, if you want something that can scale, again, bring it out, set up a separate database that you can maintain and manage independent of the application, so that it's not just Google Sheets. Feel free to drop me a message. We can probably brainstorm a little bit more and see how I can help you.
Okay. Thanks.
Right. By the way, if you're done with your question, if you can drop off, just so that just keeping an eye on the number of people on. If you do have a question, you can raise your hand. And yes, you should be able to unmute yourself and speak. Yes. Anyone else who has questions about anything? Life advice about AI, AI advice about life? Sure.
Hi, Vishal. I'm Mantesh.
Yeah,
I want to know about self-assessment, right? Like, where do I stand in terms of my learnings? How do we? There are a lot of tools across. Do we need to stick to some, or try exploring all?
Okay, so you're kind of preempting something we were looking at. I posted a link, but there's the way AI is changing right now. There's a lot of stuff that new tools are coming out in the market that are capable of different things. In my mind, there is, if you remember my car analogy, there's different layers of AI. There are new unlocks that we are seeing, like voice typing and just thinking about prompts in that way. And new tools that are coming out in terms of slides, productivity, etc. And then at the bottom level, there is AI models, which there'll be some hype around, but that hype will go away in some cases. So at the moment, there's no specific sort of quiz or anything. I was trying to link to something over there, but I'll find something and share that maybe with some effort we can keep updated as a sort of live checkpoint. But effectively, even for me personally as well, I kind of stay abreast of new technologies by watching a lot of YouTube videos, talking to a lot of other tech savvy folks, etc. And whatever I'm capturing now is distilling that into something that's actionable. So probably by staying in touch with what we're doing here, that should keep you abreast. There is no certification that I can think of that is like so up to date to the day. Like literally what I presented today, I literally sit down on a Sunday morning to figure out what I'll present Sunday evening, and I timestamp everything so that recent as it gets.
This also comes from with reference to the previous question where some ERP something has to be connected. I'm doing something similar, like I'm trying to take a SAP dump and develop a sales dashboard, which is already it's live and demonstrated. But still, I'm doubtful, like at what stage I stand, like what improvements I need to make and learn. Currently, I'm using more of a Python as a scripting language, and all the modules in Python, like Streamlit, all this. But I wanted to know where I stand. Is there something which I can do to understand that?
So there's different ways of building software at the moment, and depending on your use case, one line or one page Python code might be good enough for your use case. In some cases, if you have external users, you need a good, well thought through user experience and security and scalability, right? So there's no, say, one right answer for this. So it depends entirely on your context and use case. So like, for example, I was building a tool that can track the water level of my tank in the building. So again, I used AI to teach myself how to create like code for hardware by the hardware itself, right? So that's good enough. Now, is it super secure that I can, release it to the market? No, that is not. If you know the password of that code, you can directly hack it. But is it good enough for me? Yes, more than good enough for me. In fact, it unlocks a lot of business value in terms of me not having to check on regular basis and reduces the amount of leakages. So if your audience is just you to kind of generate some sales outputs or just analyze certain information, continue doing what you're doing. If you're trying to build something that others can use, again, you can think about using a more mature software development tool, or even a front-end prototyping tool. We discussed Base44 and Lovable and those sort of tools. That's good for getting something to that point. And if you need to sell it to other customers, then 100% you should get an external person to audit it and run security tests on it, right? So what you're doing sounds like you're already on the right track. Just continue doing that. What are you missing out on these? This is typically where a software developer company and a software development, I'm just putting a poll out there if anyone is interested specifically in software development. This is where you would need to find somebody who's built it manually so they know what the holes are.
Vishal, am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. I just want to know which tool is really, really good for enhancing the PPT. I just tell you a real case study because we had a foreign delegation visiting. So we just put across almost a PPT worth of almost 55 to 60 slides. And my MD told me, Murli, how can I just enhance this PPT more visually appealing? So I tried to just play around with multiple tools, but none of the tools are really offering a direct solution. Like at least Notebook LLM was giving a concise 5-6 slide summary kind of a thing. In case of ChatGPT, it is taking 48 hours. Like I got a 5.2 version. So is there any hack for this? Like whether we'll have to go by slide or whether if you just give the entire dump of 50-55 slides, will it work? How to go about on that?
Yeah, so bearer of bad news, if you were there in were you there in last week's session?
I couldn't, I was just missed out. Yeah.
So my first slide was prepare to be disappointed because what you're asking for is something you expect that AI can do as of today. Unfortunately, it can't. So the word, I really like the word you said, hack. Definitely the hack right now is upload content into Notebook LM and generate slides, but be very specific about slides. So if you're uploading a 60 slide document, it will give you 10 slides. So it'll always try and summarize it into something. So chunk it down into 10 slides or upload one slide at a time till it reworks it and revisualizes it, etc. And then the other hack is, because those slides generated by Notebook LM are just visuals, we use Canva, for example, to extract the text and make it editable. Right? Again, it's another hack. It uses another tool. But this is the state of affairs right now, because a lot of the AI tools at the moment, if you see, slides don't, like PowerPoints have a very specific kind of language or the file format, whereas all the AI right now is optimized for building websites. So there are two types of AI that happens for building slides. So Gamma and other slide builder tools, and even Microsoft's own PowerPoint, they first create a website for each slide, then they convert that into objects and images. That is one approach. The other approach is Notebook LM. It generates an image and it puts 10 images together into a PDF and gives you a PDF. So these are some of the ways that AI currently works. And that's a limitation as of Feb 1st, 2026. So maybe in the next couple of months, it will get better. But as of now, if I was given the exact same use case of 60 slides, make it look better, I would chunk each slide like 60 into 10 slides of 6, create separate Notebook LM projects, because I know Notebook LM processes 10 slides at a time. Click on slides and then click on infographic with a prompt for one slide at a time.
Okay.
Pull all of that together and then make whatever changes, etc. So it's a lot of manual effort, and I would trust somebody with a business plus design sense to pull that together.
Okay. And Notebook LM also doesn't take PPT as a format as an input. I think we need to just first convert to PDF and then they will.
Yeah. And the nature of the tools right now is they don't edit the same file directly. They kind of create a version of it or extract the text and the context and then recreate it from scratch. That's unfortunately the state of affairs as of today. But whatever I described as a flow is currently what I understand is the best in class.
Thanks, Vishal. Thanks.
Cool. But it looks like there's some decent interest in specifically software development. So nothing concrete as of yet, but stay tuned if that's something that you're interested in. Okay, I think I've hopefully addressed everybody's questions. If yes, I think so. All right, so with that, I think we'll call today's session a close, and I will catch you guys in the next one. Don't forget your homework, and have a great Sunday and a good week ahead. All right. Okay, with that, thanks everyone. So bye.